Did anybody else sue Northwestern yet today? And I'm not being funny, and I'm not kidding. And believe me, this is no laughing matter. But more lawsuits are expected any second. And again, this is not a laughing matter. It's getting more disgraceful by the moment. It's getting uglier by the moment. Now, what started as the worst look ever for that football program has turned into the worst look ever for the entire athletic program. And frankly, for the school. Like, don't get me wrong. It's still the worst look ever, allegedly, for the football program and for Pat Fitzgerald and for Jack back there. Sorry to drag you into it, bro. Dude, you do have a degree from that school. That is one of the reasons I hired you, dude, because you have a graduate degree from that school. Had I known now, allegedly, or then where I know now, anyway, the more we find out that the culture of reported, alleged, rampant, out of control, idiotic, and potentially criminal hazing, the more we hear, the more we find out it was widespread in Northwestern. Allegedly. So widespread that lawyers now say that they have heard from athletes in the baseball, softball, volleyball, and even cheerleading programs. What? The archers and water polo people didn't want any of that? What's next? Are you going to tell me that the math club was hazing freshmen too? Did the debate team have a naked pull-up ritual? Again, no laughing matter. This is nothing to joke about. In fact, from the very beginning, the whole thing's been pretty tough to wrap the head around at all. If what these former players allege is true, how does an entire athletic program run so far off the rails like that? And again, to go back to the obvious, something I have always said on this program, something that I have never understood. The hell is even the point of hazing? Is there anything dumber than that? Sexually humiliating the underclassmen, allegedly, has never galvanized a team, ever. No program has ever rallied around physically traumatizing freshmen. Just think about how stupid that sounds for a second. Think about how absurd it is. And remember that no player has ever walked off the field and said they owe it all to the hazing. Nobody has ever gotten to a championship podium and said, I want to thank my parents, the man above, my teammates, and most of all the dry humping from the seniors. I could not have done any of this without the dry humping of the upperclassmen. Thank you. There's a good reason why that's never once happened and never will happen. Because there is no upside to this crap. It's just stupid. And it's wrong. And wait for it, it is illegal. Hazing is illegal in the state of Illinois, as it is in most other states. Furthermore, some of those who allegedly were hazed may have been minors at that time, complicating matters even further. So in no way is any of this okay if it happened. If it happened. Again, this is not tradition. This is not ritual. It's potentially criminal activity. So then you have the other side, right? Former head coach Pat Fitzgerald's attorney would tell you that, in fact, if any of this was going on, if any of this was going on, the coach did not know about it. That's what his attorney would tell you. I would suggest to you that if this was going on, how the hell could the head coach not know about it? And if the head coach didn't know about it and it was going on, he should have known about it. And that if he really didn't know about it, and I don't buy that for a second, but if he really didn't know about it, it's because he didn't want to know about it. But even that seems impossible to believe. If the hazing was as widespread as these former players suggest, how the hell could he not know about it? his program, his culture, his responsibility. I don't know what's true and what's not, but here's what I do know. This dude, the ultimate Northwestern man, the guy who turned down so many other jobs, allegedly, maybe even NFL jobs, if you believe that. And out of what? Loyalty to school. If all of that is to be believed, then this guy's not who we thought he was. That much I do know. That dude's not who we thought he was. Then again, I've said that almost from the jump. Ever since I've had this show, we don't really know any of these people. I mean, think about that for a minute. If somebody had said to you before the year started that there would be this full-blown hazing scandal that would envelop a program, and not just the football team, but the athletic program, and if I were to say to you, who do you think that would be? Would Pat Fitzgerald not be the last guy on the list, if in fact that's what happened? We don't know any of these people. No, and again, I don't know exactly what happened. Again, there are two sides to every single story. Fitzgerald would say he didn't know about any of this activity. All right, the other side, to which one of his former quarterbacks, Lloyd Yates, would say that's bullcrap.
The abuse of hazing was so entrenched in the Northwestern football culture that even some of our coaches took part in it. The graphic, sexually intense behavior was well known throughout the program. We were physically and emotionally beaten down, and some players have contemplated suicide as a result. So today I'm proud to come forward amongst my brave teammates here today to let the truth be known, the truth that is perpetuated for decades.
So, very strong statements. He said coaches not only knew, but participated in. He did not elaborate on that. He did not say how they elaborated in, but he said they knew and they participated. Pretty damning, pretty devastating, very difficult to hear. Again, we don't know exactly what coaches knew or saw or didn't know or participated in, but again, the buck does stop with the leader of the program, which is why it's hard for me to understand how the university only suspended Fitzgerald for 2 weeks after they ran their own investigation. They investigated this for 6 months. And what was their response? They announced a 2-week suspension during a news dump on a Friday. Like the whole thing would just go away. Meanwhile, the kids at the school newspaper cracked this entire thing wide open in about 6 days. I mean, did the school really think they could just sweep this whole thing under the rug? That nobody would know, nobody would care, nobody would bother to look into it any further? I mean, could the school have handled this any worse than it did? I guess that's how a situation gets that bad. Nobody in a position to stop it cares enough to stop it. And then over decades, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then it spirals completely out of control. Allegedly. If you want to say, hey, you know what? It never happened. All right, it never happened. Who are all these players? Where are they all coming from? Did they all get in cahoots because they want to get paid? Is that what you would allege? And yes, you just heard Lloyd Yates mention that's been going on for, quote, decades. According to a new report this morning in The Athletic, the hazing nightmare actually began at Camp Kenosha. That's the football team's annual trip to Wisconsin for a week of August practice. The team has been going there since 1992, as in even before Pat Fitzgerald was enrolled in Northwestern. So apparently, reportedly, allegedly, a much less insane version of the hazing tradition started in Kenosha, and for a long time, it was contained to just that week. Like, they'd go away for a week, they'd be there, they'd be in the dorms, they wouldn't be allowed to really do anything except football, and, you know, quote, boys will be boys. But at some point, the rituals intensified. And then at some point, reportedly, allegedly, they were not just confined to that week at Camp Kenosha. They made their way back to the campus, allegedly. And then apparently that culture of hazing spread around the campus, allegedly, to the point where now we have volleyball players and former cheerleaders looking to sue the school as well. I mean, stunning how this could all go down at one of the most amazing universities in the world. Stunning that a football coach viewed as the ultimate leader and a program icon and a legend could go down like this. Stunning that the university leadership failed to grasp the problem. Stunning that so many people could do such a bad job at their jobs and let so many athletes down in the process. Which is why right about now, everybody is getting their faces sued right off. The university, the trustees, coaches, former coaches, ADs, former ADs, the university president, and a former university president. That big of a mess. And believe me, it's going to get worse before it gets better. There is so much more still to come, I'm sure. Still so many more people to come out of the woodwork. The ugliness is far from over. Which is why I will ask yet again, since it has been, 10 minutes, did anybody else sue Northwestern since the show started? And can somebody, and don't come in here with, Rome, you just don't get it. Did you ever play sports at the college level? Do you not understand? Oh, I understand. I understand really well. I understand. Let's not confuse tradition and ritual with criminal activity. Sexual hazing and degrading people and dehumanizing them never made them better athletes, better teammates, better at life, winning. According to this player, it actually made them contemplate suicide. And you're going to tell me that the guy running the whole thing had no idea? No idea? 1-800-636-8686. Hit me up. If you want to hit me up on Twitter on this, go ahead and do so at Jim Rome. I won't get a legal aspect of this, too. Different perspective. Michael McCann will join me at 1040. And again, also, before you come in here and say, hey, by the way, Rome, wake up. It's going on everywhere. It happens everywhere. I would suggest to you that it's not happening everywhere. I'm sure it's happening in a lot of places. But it needs to stop happening. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to be the first to know when we do upload a new video.